Furi for me.
Let's say it goes for Team Nigeria. We look forward to see how the season, the competition will pan out. But away from that, let's talk boxing on the show as Anthony Joshua will face, of course, will face fellow Brighton, Daniel Dubois, for the IBF heavyweight title at Wembley Stadium come 24th of September. Undisputed champion Alexander Usyk vacated the belts on Tuesday, and interim champion Daniel Dubois, who is 36 years, was elevated to champion status as a result. Two-time world champion Joshua, who is 34 years, is on a four-fight winning streak and has had 3 stoppages in his past 3 bouts. Dubois has won his past 2 fights, stopping Jeremila in December and Filip Hrgovic this month to become interim champion. Michael, this fight has been confirmed. September 24th, we'll see Tony Joshua against Daniel Dubois. And this is coming up due to the fact that Alexander Usyk has vacated the IBF belt.
Yeah, for me, I think I'm not surprised. I saw this one coming because I knew that definitely Alexander Usyk is going to relinquish that IBF belt and making it available for contention between Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois. I think for me, Anthony Joshua should go back to the training facilities right now and start preparing for this very one, because the fellow Brie talking about Daniel is also a good fighter. I saw his last fight, how he was able to dismantle his opponent. He have this punching ability, very flexible as well, good in an attack and in a offensive position and defensive position as well. So for me, I think the two of them are perfect match. But taking a look at how Anthony Joshua has been able to deal with the fact that he lost all his belts, a few months ago, he has been able to at least build back that momentum over time right now, getting to this point. I think the next thing for him to ensure that he makes everything possible to be able to upstage or defeat Daniel Dubois in this very one. And if he does that, then we await the rematch between Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury come next year, 2025. Then after the game, we might possibly see a very big heavyweight bout between Anthony Joshua. That is, if he gets to defeat Daniel Dubois in the IBF title, then we will possibly see Anthony Joshua, having a big bout between the winner in the rematch between Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk come 2025. But I tell you, this one is poised up September. And I know that Eddie Hearn has been working around the clock as well to ensure that this one come to materialization. And I'm very, very happy for Anthony Joshua, the way he has been able to deal with the shock of that defeat, losing all of his belts. He has been able to deal with it, and I think he's building back that momentum. I just hope that he can be able to take Daniel Dubois off the way and set himself ready for and possibly wait for the rematch between Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury.
Let's say it goes Anthony Joshua on the verge of getting another belt for himself. This time the IBF belt against Daniel Dubois. Can he get the job done come 24th of September? Of course, we'll keep our fingers crossed and see how that one, of course, will pan out. But Daniel Dubois, we understand, has won 21 of his 23 fights, while Joshua has 28 victories and 3 losses. They have a combined 45 knockouts now at this point in time. Joshua has gotten into more bouts than Daniel Dubois. 28 victories for Joshua, 3 losses, and we'll see 21 victories for Daniel Dubois out of his 23 fights. What do you make of the bouts these boxers they've engaged themselves so far? Does he have anything to do heading down to this one?
Yeah, for me, I think taking a look at the opponent that Anthony Joshua has taken in this 28 fight, I want to say he has more stiffer opponent compared to Daniel Dubois in his 23 games so far, and that alone speaks volume. The 3 losses for Anthony Joshua come against the big man himself, and he's a world champion, which you cannot also dispute his ability. For Joshua to lose 3 out of 28, these 3 losses come against a very strong opponent out there who he relinquishes, belt to. And for Daniel Dubois, yeah, he has taken a couple of good opponents as well, but not to be compared with the quality of opponent that Anthony Joshua has faced. But that is by the way. In this kind of fight, having built your strength, your momentum down to this end, taking up against one of the best, which is Anthony Joshua, I know that Daniel Dubois want to also continue in this trajectory of improvement, and that makes the fight even more keenly contested, in the way I'm going to look at it, because for Daniel Dubois, 23 fights, 21 victories so far, Anthony Joshua, 28. So for me, it speaks a whole lot of volume. A whole lot of things will come to play in this very round. And I tell you, it's going to be evenly poised, because Daniel Dubois, like I say, very good, fighter, has the punching power, he has the, footwork, I mean, very flexible. And for Anthony Joshua as well, a good fighter any day, anytime. You can't dispute his punching power as well and his ability. So I think it's a great matchup for, both of them.
Let's see, I go, but for the fights, between Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury, I don't think this will be an undisputed bout, anymore, because Daniel Dubois, Alexander Usyk has given out, his belts for the bout between Daniel Dubois and Anthony Joshua at this point in time. So the man is not left with the WBO, WBA, and WBC belts, as his third. I don't think this will be an undisputed bout anymore.
No, not at all. After relinquishing that, IBF belt out there, and I think for me, he's not very greedy. He's looking at, he's plotting at taking on Anthony Joshua. That is just the truth. It's either Anthony Joshua or Daniel Dubois, because that is the only two opponents that you will want to say that are still very much relevant in the system. And then again, Zhang, that is the three opponents that you will want to say. For Deontay Wilder, I think he has lost that, he has lost that peak, that, fear factor. So he's no longer to be reckoned with. And for Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk has already defeated Tyson Fury. So this one, maybe, I think for Alexander Usyk, he's just looking at taking on Anthony Joshua or Daniel Dubois, and that is why he willingly relinquished that IBF belt, because he want to make it available for Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois to contend.
Talking about it, him doing it willingly, I think he was actually pleading at some points that the organizers, should allow him, go into that bout against Tyson Fury to make sure he actually, make that one a not disputed bout. But there was a mandatory challenger. He was, the organizers were saying, you're going to fight Daniel Dubois if you want to keep this belt. If you're not, that means you have to put up the belts so that Joshua and Daniel Dubois, of course, will contend for it. And he didn't want to go down for that. That was the rule. And he asked him to give it out. So is that you give it out or you face the mandatory challenger? So he has to give that one out.
His trainer as well spoke of that very fact. After the consultation with his trainer out there, he came out as well to say that he's doing it willing, talking about the trainer out there. I don't know the conflict in the statement that Alexander Usyk is making right now. I don't know, possibly, maybe for the fact that he's not that fluent in English language, maybe his proper interpretation of what he meant was misunderstood. But after listening to his trainer out there, I understand that the trainer was willing to, for his camp, that they want to relinquish it, willingly. And that is why I said maybe, just maybe he wanted to, take up either Anthony Joshua or Daniel Dubois. But whichever way it happens, whether he get to relinquish it, whether he wanted to make it an undisputed heavyweight fight or not, one thing remains that relinquishing this belt as well will also help him to take up a challenge against Anthony Joshua or Daniel Dubois, whichever way, whether it is undisputed, But I think for me, it is very, very compulsory that he relinquish it. Because if he does relinquish it, now that he has relinquished it, that will make the fight even more thicker, because something is at stake. He's not going into the bout as, this undisputed heavyweight that hold all of the unification belt in a four-belt era. First time since Lennox Lewis did that far back. So for me, I think that will also hype the tension and also make the fight even more thicker and more interesting. And I tell you, the Saudi authority, their promoters seem to be very, very wise, the way they are going about this thing, because I think for me, they might have also done their own underground job and see that if he relinquished this belt, then they build up to that
No,
you know.
we understand that this particular one between Joshua and Dubois won't be held in Saudi Arabia.
Okay, yes,
it to be held in England.
In England.
In Wembley.
In England, yeah. Yeah, sorry about that. But for me, like I said earlier, whichever way it comes, it is good that he relinquish it, because if he does, which he has done, it's going to be a good one. Anybody that gets to win this IBF belt between Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois is coming up, with a title against Alexander Usyk come next year. So, and that makes the fight, that will make the fight to garner even more weight and more momentum. So for me, whichever way it happens, I think it's very, very good that he has relinquished that IBF belt, so that Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois will have something, to aim for. Because going with this kind of big fight without any belt involved, it will look more like ordinary. But now that a belt is involved, I tell you, I think it's very, very okay.
Anthony Joshua has another opportunity, of course, to take a belt home once again, only if he can get past Daniel Dubois come 31st of September this year. We understand that it will be the first time since Fury win over Dillian Whyte in December 2022 that Wembley will be hosting a boxing bout. Joshua will be making his 4th appearance, 3 and 3rd as a headliner, while Dubois will fight in a main event at a 60,000 plus venue for the very first time. The winner will put themselves in prime position to fight the winner of Usyk or Tyson Fury next. It's going to be an impressive one. Keep our fingers crossed till the 24th of September and see who get this one. Just like Michael said, I believe that Anthony Joshua, of course, will get back to training to make sure he prepare for this particular one. But let's quickly move on as we take a look at the Nigerian Premier Football League on the show. And of course, the league has come to an end, and we'll have to take a look at some things that happen, some significant things that happen. And one is the turnouts of fans in some venues of the Nigerian Premier Football League. Now, the just concluded 2024 MPFL season has witnessed large turnouts of spectators in major cities including Kano, Gombe, Jos, Akure, Enugu, Aba, Ibadan, and Lagos. And of course, we saw massive turnout of fans in this stadium. And these venues, of course, they are in the west. We talk about the west, the north, as well as the east. That's where we saw the massive turnout of fans in the Nigerian Premier Football League this season. But a little, or to say few, turnouts in the southern parts of the country. But we'll talk about that. But first, Michael, we usually see this before in the league, let's say in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. But at some point, we saw a drop in terms of fans' attendance, in the Nigerian Premier Football League matches. But this season seems a little bit different. What could be responsible for this?
I think for me, there are so many factors that is responsible for this very one. First, you talk about the fact that there have been a lot of improvements so far in this, especially this season with the Benga Legbeleye board, and that is why the fans is beginning to come back to the stadium, because one, we have seen a couple of away wins so far this season, unlike in the past where you find it difficult to go away and get a very valid point. So when you have in a very fair platform where you get what you play for, that means to say that if you deserve to win in a certain match, there will be no excuse of that the referee did not deny us 3 points. You just go out there, do your best, and if you deserve to win, you go home with all 3 points. So we've seen a couple of away team going to pick a very vital point so far this season. Then again, you talk about the renovation And they also, the awareness that the NPFL board have also created is another factor. Then, in the north and west especially, I think one of the reasons is that some of these clubs, they've also, been able to make themselves at home and feel at home with the fans out there, and they were able to carry the fans along and make them to recognize and see the team as their own, part and parcel of their own. And immediately you try to give the fans that impression that this team is their own, it's all about them. They will definitely do everything possible to be at match venue in the stadium to ensure that they are able to cheer you to victory. But in the situation whereby teams try to alienate themselves away from the fans, and stay aloof on their own, you would be alone. You discover that on match days, nobody come to watch you. Why? Because they are not carried along. People feel that, okay, this is government-owned property. After all, it's not our business. Let them go and do their thing. No. But some of these clubs in the north and these fans, they see the club as this is our own thing. And that is why they do everything possible to ensure that they are at the match venue to take part and support their darling teams, to victory. I think, just like you said earlier, we are seeing a change of narrative from that lackadaisical attitude in the past where fans, hardly come out to support their, club. I think we are going back to the 80s, 70s, possibly. But then, there are so many big questions. Can we be able to sustain this? Can we build on this gain, that we've garnered so far this season? Still remain a big question.
Still remain a big question, as it is. And I will hope that the league board will be able to maintain the large turnout of fans we've seen, in the north, the west, and, I talk about the east as well. Large turnout of fans, and really, of course, give the NPFL a very, very good look. And, I actually studied Sporting Lagos. At some point, we saw Sporting Lagos inviting the musicians, to their match days. Venues, putting up some things that possibly attract, fans as well down to their games.
Which is very, very good idea. Trying to find a way to spice up, the show. Go outside, do something out of the conventional. Do something new, because there are some person that will be attracted because of that entertainment angle of it. That, oh, P-Square is coming to the stadium. Oh, Davido, Wizkid, Star, they are coming to the stadium. There are some person that naturally they are not fan of football, but because of the fact that they have one of their favorite entertainer, attending the show, they will also want to come out, and because of that, they will use the opportunity to watch the match, and that is how it goes. It's about introducing new ideas on how to carry the fans along. I think it's a very, very nice one. And which other way can clubs actually do, or which other thing, which other measure will they adopt in order to attract back the fans? There are so many measures to I believe, be able to endear yourself with the fans. One is that at least the fans within that community where your stadium is situated, how far are you at home with these communities around, your match venue? Have you been able to take out time, to organize possibly a street football against some of this community? Have you made your presence felt within this community? Because if you make your presence feel in this community by making sure you pick one or two of their locally based players within that community, possibly integrate the person in your feeders team, that will give them that sense of belonging, that, oh, this is our own. They are coming to support you because of the fact that they have their own brother, playing for that team. And that is a very good way of trying to, endear yourself with the fans out there. So the introduction of, musicians into the stadium by Sporting Lagos, I think it's one good idea that other teams as well should follow suit in order to be able to bring the fans back to the stadium. Then media as well. There are so many things, that we need to do. Maybe I will just hold it, here as we continue.
Okay, let's see how it goes. We'll hope that sustainability will be there to make sure that the fans, continue. But Michael, taking a look at it, take a look at the southern part of the country, where you have teams like Rivers United, you have teams like Akwa United, Bayelsa United here as well. poor turnout of fans we saw in their stadiums, and not a very impressive one. It's been like 2 or 3 years they're about to say. We've not seen massive turnout of fans in the southern parts of the country when it has to do with the Nigerian Premier Football League, and as well, what could be the reason?
I think there are so many factors. There are so many reasons. One is talk about the proximity of the match venue, talking about the stadium. How close is it to the people? Because if the stadium or the match venue is centered within the main metropole, that will make it very easy for people to just walk down or pay maybe like 100 naira or 50 naira thereabout and get to the stadium, and make it very easy for them to turn out. But when the distance is very far from the main metropole, then fans will begin to think about how much money that is involved in terms of the transportation fare. For example, Rivers United case study, the stadium is located at Alo, close to airport, and somebody that is staying within the main metropole will find it very difficult to pay 1,500, 2,000 down just for transport down to Adokie Amesi Amaka Stadium to watch. And if you finish watching it, you need to also pay and come back. Two, how far the security? Are you sure that if you go out there with your phone, coming back, will you be safe? These are so many questions that have made it very difficult for fans to turn out and watch their darling team. Then again, how well have some of these South teams been able to create that unity among the fans? Like I mentioned earlier, how many weeks have you had on radio or television that Rivers United is playing a game? How many times have we had a jingle? So media...
But the sports guys always talk about it on air.
The sport guys, but you need to believe more on the team direct. It's a different thing that analysts or sport journalists, pundit also say, okay, Rivers United will be hosting match against Sporting Lagos, and that does it. No, there are more emphasis paid to it if Rivers United as authority, themselves create this awareness. Oh, Rivers United will be hosting Enyimba International so day. Come out to the stadium. This is your club. Come and watch the best of the best. Come and see Enyimba Nwagwa play live. I mean, the people or the community where Enyimba Nwagwa comes from will be very excited. So I think they need to do, especially the clubs themselves, their media handlers, they need to do enough publicity in order to, attract. At some point, their former coach who just left right now said that Rivers United, they are like an orphan playing at home whenever they play at home. Why did he make that statement? Because the stadium is always dry, even when playing at your home ground. And he said that Rivers United, they are like a team likened to an orphan when playing at home, because even the away team self, sometimes their supporters even outnumbers that of Rivers United, and it become a problem. So these are some of the things that we need to put into consideration. Then again, the economic hardship is something that we can't take away, because things are hard. People are finding it very difficult to eat twice a day. How much more of dipping your hand into your pocket, 1,500, 2,000, to pay transportation fare from wherever you are, to go to the stadium. So these are some of the factors that have made it very difficult for, some teams here in the South, for their fans to turn out and watch their darling team. Uyo here, talking about the Aqua United, I think the Gospel Aquavio International Stadium being one of the best in Africa, not just in Nigeria. Some persons, for the fact that they have not seen that stadium live, so whenever Aqua United is playing, they always want to come out there, because that is the only stadium that CAF a whole have approved. They say, okay, this one meets the standard, and people have been hearing how sophisticated, how good that stadium is. Many of them haven't been there, so they want to come, not just to watch Aqua United, but to see these things with their eyes. That is all the truth, So this is one of the things that have made some of their fans to turn out. With exception of that, nobody cares. In time past, UJSON Stadium, when Calabar Rovers was still afloating themselves at the Nigerian Premier Football League, because of the fact that the stadium is situated at the heart of the town. Since this is stadium, this is the back of a governor's office, you know, so it makes it very easy. You can, whether you are coming from any angle of Calabar City, definitely you can easily access the stadium. And then that is the only team that I do see, you know, a handful of fans then. But for Bayelsa United, Rivers United, Akwa United, has been a very far cry compared to what we see in the northern region, east, or even west. You saw the record-breaking crowd that turned out in the Oriental Derby between Enugu Rangers and Enyimba. Earlier in the season, we saw Doma United at the Pantami Stadium, you know, creating one of the biggest, you know, fans we see. Again, Shooting Stars, we also saw that. Enyimba, in their last game, we saw that as well. So, but in the South, I think, like I said, it's a very big disappointment and something that calls for worry, because you can't actually underestimate the strength or the impact of the 12th man, talking about the fan. When you have large number of fans turning out in the stadium to cheer the players to victory, it gives the players that extra drive to push for the best. But when you look around, everywhere is very quiet, very solitude. You look as though you are just playing friendly games. So, because nothing motivates you. You know that the fans motivate the players. A touch at all, a jeer, a clap from the fans motivate you to add more energy. But when you are playing, no energy, no motivation, and that is why you find it difficult to win games. And we need to improve on that a lot.
All right, we'll continue to look at how things, you know, pan out down there in the south when it has to do with turnout of fans, you know, to support their teams. We hope that, of course, things will get better, like what we're seeing in the north, the east, as well as the west as well. But at this point, we'll take a short break. When we'll come back from this break, we'll take a trip, of course, to Germany to bring you the latest from the Euro 2024 tournaments down there. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
Greenwoods went for goal. Goalkeeper missed it. He does a right hand and down goes the ball straight away. Oh, what a point to end it on. So now this is when they're at their best. And when they're 12 years for this. So drink it in. Still goes to our What he loves to be immortality as an athlete. 19.79. It's a goal. It's 8 goals.
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what's the blood.
I have fought a very firmly.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
people into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human
on the point of order.
Honorable
They are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings on ATN.
Welcome back, Steve Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network. It's time for me to bring you the latest from the Euro 2024, and we'll start with England because they've qualified for the round of 16 in the competition, courtesy of that goalless draw against Slovenia. Michael, what do you make of England? They actually struggled to qualify for the round of 16. The big question here is how far can they go after not being that convincing in the 3 games in the group stage of the competition?
Honestly, for me, I don't see England going far in this very tournament. Judging by the 3 games they have played so far, they have not been very, very convincing, despite the fact that they parade, one of the biggest squads in terms of star players as well, in terms of players' evaluation as well. And I think England should be doing better compared to what we are seeing them display in the last 3 games that they just played in these Euros. They've really found it difficult winning their first game at 1-0, courtesy of that 13 minutes header from Jude Bellingham. In their second game, they struggled. It ended in a draw. Their last game ended in a draw. They have not been very, very convincing, and that is why I'm just thinking that England might not go far in this very tournament, because looking at what they are playing and the result that they are getting, if they come up against a stronger or stiffer opponent like maybe Spain, Germany, or even Italy, I tell you they are going to struggle and they will be definitely knocked out if they don't get to improve on their game. So it's been a bit of worry for some of these big teams. Teams like England, France, Netherlands, Belgium, all struggling in this in their group stage out there. And for me, I think England need to improve a lot if they hope to go far in this competition. If not, with this pattern of play and the result they've gotten so far, I don't see England going very far in this tournament.
Is Gary Southgate over-experimenting with the team?
Not about over-experimenting. I'm just thinking that Gary Southgate is not getting his tactics right. One, he has found it very difficult to be able to distinguish how to use Phil Foden and Jude Bellingham. Either asking Phil Foden to drop back deep into the midfield.
We even saw Alexander-Arnold in the midfield in the last game.
Which for me I think it was a very wrong tactical display You know, why deploying 4-2-3-1 formation? For what? Are you having pressure inside the middle of the park? Of course, the Clan Rice can do the dirty job, sitting in front of the back four to absorb the pressure if there is any need. But then deploying Alexander-Arnold just because Jurgen Klopp did that experiment at Liverpool and you think it will work. It doesn't work that way. So I think the problem with Gary Southgate is that he finds it very difficult to use the right player at their right position. Now, we saw that majority of their play is centered on the right-hand side of the wing where Bukayo Saka is operating. All pressure, every ball, they want to get it to Bukayo Saka's wing so that he can be able to drive front. While the left side of the wing, that should have been effectively dictated by Phil Foden, is left bare, is left empty, no pressure coming from that wing. And I wonder the reason why he's keeping Anthony Gordon's on the bench, because if you want that England to have that solidity, you need to have an effective left winger. I mean, yes, left winger operating from 11 out there to make it very, very effective. If the pressure is coming from the left side of the wing and also coming from the right side of the wing, which Bukayo Saka dictates, then the pressure will be more on the opponent team. When you are drifting from right, the other person is drifting from the left, and that piles the pressure against the opponent, making them to go back. And those square play will come to the center of the box, where Harry Kane will simply have an easy tap. If there is a rebound, player like Jude Bellingham can also shoot if there is a rebound. So, but I think for me, Gary Southgate is the problem of this English national team side. And that is why there looks to be, I mean, there is this struggle in them. Until he gets it right, I still hope that England will not go far. Then, if you take a look at when he brought in Cole Palmer in yesterday's game, he saw a little bit of liveliness again. When he brought in Anthony Gordon, though very late as well, but you saw that little bit of spark within the English national team. So I think it's all about Gary Southgate being able to use his tools very well, because as it stands right now, he cannot complain of not having the appropriate players to prosecute this game. And that is why I laughed when he made reference a few days ago that because of the fact that the midfielder Calvin Phillips is a natural player that they cannot replace in the team, I begin to laugh. Calvin Phillips is the problem why you are struggling to win games. So I think for me, the problem of England boils down to Gary Southgate tactics and his inability to make effective changes and select his first 11 and use the players at their appropriate positions.
All right, let's see how it goes for England. The big question is how far can they go after struggling to qualify for the round of 16. But talking about qualified teams, 12 teams have qualified for the round of 16 in the Euro 24. They are Denmark, Slovenia, Germany, Spain, Portugal, Switzerland, Italy, Austria, France, England, and Netherlands. Michael, what do you make up for the qualified teams?
I think there's only 2 teams out there, or 3 rather, that gives me joy when I take a look at the way they are able to qualify. Austria, very surprising, topping their groups. In a group that looks to be a very difficult one.
Manchester United coach Ralf Rangnick is the manager of the side.
Yeah, and I think Ralf Rangnick, he has been able to do a great job so far within the 3 games that they've played. Then again, I think Spain as well have also captured my fancy, because coming into this very one, taking a look at the young squad that they have, nobody possibly give them a chance in this very one, but they've been able to prove so many bookmakers wrong out there, winning their first 3 games, topping their group with ease, 9 points, massive. Then again, the host country, talking about Germany, I think they've been very impressive as well. So these are the 3 teams that I am just probably tipping to go far in this very one. Among the 12 teams that have also progressed through the round of 16, it's only these 3 teams that I can say yes, they're worth to be there. Other teams like Netherlands, Italy, England, we've seen how they struggle to get to the round of 16. But then I think they need some of these big teams, like I said earlier, they need to do more if they truly want to go far in this competition.
All right, let's see how it goes. But this afternoon, as to say, we got to report that Phil Foden has left England.
Family first before any other thing. And
we hear his wife is about to give birth to their third child.
Yeah, and I think that is the reason. I'm sure that is the reason. And like I said, they don't joke with their families, and that is why they do everything very possible to get close, to be very close to their family, especially when their wife is heavy. We saw that last time out when Hurricane was about to move to Bayern Munich, but then the wife was still pregnant, and also, disturb him in the camp while playing. He might not focus 100%, but when he get close to the family and come back to the camp, that possibly might be the, magic for him.
We hear that Phil Foden is expected to return to the camp in the